Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, refugee. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, refugee. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine.
Come into our house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. Come in where we welcome the certain and the seeking, the long-timers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home here at Throop, where we go live the world from the heart of Pasadena and from the heart of our homes. Good morning and welcome to our friends joining us on the live stream today. This month we are surrendering into self-care. Last week we looked at self-care as a practice, not a purchase. Today, we will honor the MLK weekend and we look at justice as one aspect of self-care. Next week, you will hear from members of our pastoral care team that offers tender and supportive listening to all of you. And the last Sunday in the month, we'll delve into community care. If you're new to Throop, we'd love to stay in touch with you. You can fill out the info card. You'll find that in the pew back in front of you. You can hand it in a little later in service when our ushers come down the aisle with the offering. And each Sunday, we are reminded that each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with a flame from our candles of hope and witness. May our chalice flame remind us that we are connected with all life. In our daily living, we experience injustices that are intertwined. As we untangle one aspect of injustice, our work touches on other areas. Any action we take, no matter how small, has significance. The healing of our world, the oneness of everything, lies within the grasp of our hands. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop is the unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva Band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into dismantling systems of supremacies and oppressions. We light a third candle symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all of these in our hearts.
And as we continue to hold in our hearts those things that are most important and sacred to us, we join together in our opening welcome hymn. It's the oneness of everything. It's in this teal hymnal, number 1052. And I invite you to rise and sing out as your body and spirit allow, number 1052.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all the joy that love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings. In the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the soul becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, never giving. And now to maintain the harmony gives to us all life's worth living. For the oneness of everything.
And turn gently toward a neighbor and welcome them into worship.
Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and unmeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. All passing years just might I know the faith that winters in the heart to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
Time and space, vast and immeasurable. When we consider its immensity, when we feel the pulse of its life, it's almost as if we hear it in our soul as a song. In our daily living, in the rush of days, we can tune out the melody of life as we rush from one thing to the next. Here for these 60 minutes, you are invited to rest. You are invited to reconnect with your body and spirit. You're invited to reconnect with what you name as holy and sacred. And we reconnect with our relationship with our earth. And one way we do that each week is by sharing together the words to our promise to our planet, and those are in your order of worship. As members of the family of living beings on earth, we are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. With hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources, we promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself. And in honor of this month's worship theme, which is surrender into self-care, the congregation's response to the responsive reading is help us slow down and surrender into self-care. Let's say that together. Help us slow down and surrender into self-care. And the reading is Love Abundant by Alicia Ford. I lift my eyes up to the hills. From where will my help come from? My help comes from love abundant. My help comes from the hills. My help comes from ancient mothers whose hearts beat along with mine. Help us slow down and surrender into self-care. My help comes from the trees that sway and the breeze that sways them. My help comes from all that was and is and ever will be. I lift my eyes, hushed by the soothing touch of waves, caressing wounded shores, wounded souls. Help us slow down and surrender into self-care. I lift my eyes to the horizon, bathed by the hum of mothers and mothers' mothers, cradling, gently rocking. I lift my voice, call of the sea tree, sister moon, mother earth, my soul weeping, a symphony of life overflowing. Help us slow down and surrender into self-care. I give myself. I too hum through every pore. With every breath, I give myself an extension of all that is, was, and ever will be. Help us slow down and surrender into self-care. Our worship services are times of coming together and sharing celebrations in community and of holding each other through times of hurt and disappointment and sorrow. This moment is one of those times of sorrow. Many of you have heard that Julia Palu died last week. Julia had been active at Throop for many years. Over those years, Julia served on our welcome committee. She organized beautiful and nutritious lunches that were served at the women's room at Friends Indeed. And Julia held small group dinners in her home as a way to help new troopers connect with one another and feel a sense of belonging. We mourn the loss of Julia and we send out our love to her family. A celebration of life will be held for Julia on Saturday, February 3rd, 3 p.m. at Neighborhood Church in Pasadena. This morning, we pause in our service and we remember our friend, Julia. We'll no longer hear the sound of Julia's voice. We won't feel the touch of her hand. Taryn will extinguish the flame of our chalice to mark Julia's physical death. Julia's spirit lives on in the hearts and minds of those she touched. From the chalice flame that was lit from our community candles of hope and witness, Terry lit a new flame. That candle symbolizes all that was Julia's life, which will go on shining within each one of us. In mystery we are born, in mystery we live, and in mystery we die.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness
Our Kids Dig In program helps the youngest among us dig into Unitarian Universalism, and it helps them dig into their own sense of awe and wonder and spirituality, helping them make sense of the breadth and complexity of human living. Today's program volunteer is Carson. Thank you so much. And Faith will be with the youngest ones in the nursery. We have a practice of singing them into the children's program, and those words are in the order of worship.
For you shall go out in joy. For you shall go out in joy and come back in peace. And come back in peace. For you shall go out in joy. For you shall go out in joy and come back in peace. And come back in peace. Blessed be.
Our poem this morning is Speaking Tree by Joy Harjo. Some things on this earth are unspeakable. Genealogy of the broken, a shy wind threading leaves after a massacre, or the smell of coffee and no one there. Some humans say trees are not sentient beings, but they don't understand poetry. Nor can they hear the singing of trees when they are fed by wind or water music, or hear their cries of anguish when they are broken and bereft. Now I am a woman longing to be a tree, planted in a moist, dark earth between sunrise and sunset. I cannot walk through all realms. I carry a yearning I cannot bear alone in the dark. What shall I do with all this heartache? The deepest rooted dream of a tree is to walk, even just a little ways, from the place next to the doorway to the edge of the river of life and drink. I have heard trees talking long after the sun has gone down. Imagine what it would be like to dance close together in this land of water and knowledge, to drink deep what is undrinkable.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak. Her sap doth run in my veins. Boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end. My sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Progress of faith settles deep in the earth. Rise
This church holds us through all seasons of our lives. It holds us through joyful moments of births and anniversaries and significant milestones. And it holds us through times of disappointment and loss and sorrow. And this church is here because of all the ways you all support it through your gifts of time and talent and treasure. For those of you that are able to make a financial gift today, you can make that gift online. You can see how to do that in the order of worship. You can offer a gift here in the room. Barbara is about to pass the offering plate down the aisle. If you'd like your gift to be noted to you, we ask that you use the green envelope in the pew bag. Thank you for all the ways you support our life together. If you're a first-time visitor, please let the offering plate pass you by. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. And change will come to you. Be the voice you want to hear in the world. Be the voice you want to hear in the world. Be the voice you want to hear in the world, and change will come through you. Be the light you want to shine in the world. Be the light you want to shine in the world. Be the light you want to shine in the world, and change will come to you. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world, and change will come to you. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world, and change will come to you. And change will come to you once more, and change will come to you.
So many of you shine your light on Sundays in support of our worship services, and I lift up thanks and gratitude to those helping out today. I'd like to thank Steve for being our live stream operator, Barbara for serving as greeter and usher. I thank Taryn for offering chalice lighting words, Terry and Taryn for helping with the ritual of remembrance for Julia, Carson and Faith with our children's program, Tom, our coffee and conversation host, Megan for your inspiring music and choir leadership, and Hillary for all of your administrative support. As we take a moment of intentional gratitude, we say together the response to the offering, and those words are in the order of worship. For the ministries of the church and our community, we bless our offering with love and hope. And in that same sense of the oneness of everything that we sang as our welcome hymn, our centering hymn reflects that same sense of connection. It's "We Would Be One," number 318 in the gray hymnal. And I invite you to sing this together, imagining your connection with one another. And you can remain seated as we sing together.
We would be one as now we join in singing. We would be one in building for tomorrow, a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
And I invite you all to take a gentle breath in and exhale, paying attention to your breath, the way it moves through your body, the way your body feels in this moment. Gently close your eyes and rest in the stillness of this moment. Take a breath and rest in the spirit of all that is. Take a breath and rest in this blessing that comes from me to you. Take a breath and imagine this blessing surrounding and holding you as securely and as warmly as a nest holds a family of birds. May this blessing ever so quietly make its way from your head to your heart to your toes. As this blessing seeps into you, let it touch all that you love and all that you struggle with. Imagine that as this blessing moves through your being, that it picks up energy until it reaches your core and stretches out to what grounds you to this world. This blessing, which now holds your love and your struggle, also connects you to your grounding, to our earth, and to one another. Let this blessing remind you that heart and spirit, that soil and soul are intimately connected. Take a breath. Rest in the stillness of this moment. Take a breath and rest in the spirit of all that is. For all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise. Amen.
When I lift my voice, let it be in song, a defiant note in the face of wrong. I won't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified.
Earlier this week, there was a phrase that kept running through my mind. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Last week, I attended a public event in Old Pasadena, and the event was a celebration of a new historic plaque that was being installed at Miller's Alley, and it has a duplicate plaque 1 block over on Fair Oaks Avenue. That phrase, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, is a phrase that is attributed to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And those words ran through my mind at this celebration because these new plaques replace old plaques. And the old plaques included language that silenced a terrible, violent, racist act in Pasadena's history. Have any of you been to Miller's Alley, even know where that is in Pasadena? Well, Tom and Winnie were at the event, so you know where it is now, but Maureen knows, and some people in the back, Harlow and Robert know. Well, it's this little street that runs between Colorado Boulevard and Green Street, and it's where you can find Edwin Mills. You can get a massage at Burke Williams, and if you can believe this, Maggie, pay attention back there. Maggie's a dog in the pew. There is a bakery on Miller's Alley, and it is just especially for dogs. It's a dog bakery. You'll have to take Maggie there. But back in 1885, which is 1 year before our congregation was first gathered, in 1885, Miller's Alley was the location of Pasadena's Chinatown. Did you know that there had been a Chinatown in Pasadena? So many people don't know that. I only became aware of it maybe a year or so ago. And in 1885, Miller's Alley was a dirt road, and between 60 and 100 Chinese American men lived in that area. And it was men who lived in that area because in 1885, Chinese immigrant men were not allowed to bring their families here with them. That block held multiple Chinese-owned businesses, including 2 laundries, a restaurant, and a vegetable stand. So Matt Horman is a local writer, and if that name sounds familiar, yes, Matt Horman is also known as the Matt of my own heart. Thank you very much. And one day a few years ago, Matt was in Old Pasadena and looked up at the old plaque that was on the wall, and this old plaque mentioned a fire that had taken place there in 1885, and that this fire had burned down a Chinese laundry. Well, he looked at that and thought about it and knew that there had to be something more to that story. And so he dug into research at the Pasadena Central Library, and he discovered what really happened. And the whole story of what happened was published in the Pasadena Weekly in 2015. A summary of the events of that night that led to the fire is recounted on the new historic plaque. And I'm going to share the language, all of the language that's on that plaque with you here today. It says, dedicated to the memory of Yun Key Laundry and the early Chinese settlers of Pasadena who helped build the railroads, labored on the citrus and grape farms, and established successful businesses. On November 6, 1885, a mob threw stones into the laundry, breaking a kerosene lamp that burned the building down. The next day, the city barred all Chinese immigrants from living in the central portion of the city. This tribute acknowledges the work and sacrifice of all Chinese settlers who helped to build our city and nation. It recognizes their fortitude, courage, and resilience, and thanks them for their contributions. Pasadena's march toward justice is not complete and must continue in each generation. At the unveiling ceremony, there were speakers from the city, there were speakers from the local Chinese American Club, there were professors from Pasadena City College, folks from the city's Human Rights Commission, and several of those speakers mentioned Matt and the role of that investigative article. Before he had written that, the story of what had actually happened was almost forgotten. And the former historic plaque noted the fire almost in passing, and it did not mention the racism inherent in that incident. I encourage you to read all of Matt's article that was published in the Pasadena Weekly. Email me if you would like a copy of it. It's a harrowing story, and there are details that I wasn't able to share here because they're too graphic to recount in a public worship service. But the entire history is important, and I encourage you to read all of it. At the unveiling ceremony, Councilmember Jean Masuda described this particular part of our Pasadena past as a disgraceful truth. This long, silent truth has seeped into the soil and deadened parts of our souls that we didn't even realize had been deadened. And that phrase that ran through my mind during the unveiling celebration, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, that's condensed from a longer sermon that Dr. King gave in 1965 on courage. And the whole piece that this phrase is taken from, it is, and I use King's original language, a man dies when he refuses to stand up for what is right. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for that which he knows is true. Unitarian Universalism is a life-affirming faith. We want the whole entirety of creation to flourish. We nurture generosity. We want the individual spirit to thrive. We want each and every one of you to live a good life, a meaningful life. We want you to know you are embraced by love, and we want each and every person to be able to be fully alive and present. Love and our wild and beautiful affirmation of life, that's what grounds us. That's what grounds us in our search for justice. Without a justice that works to affirm the sacred essence of all beings, some part of us dies. Without that justice, some part of our neighbor dies. Without that justice, some part of our earth dies. This church year, one of the discussions we are in is about the proposed revisions to our Unitarian Universalist principles and purposes. In the proposed revision, there are 6 shared values that have been identified and defined, and justice is one of those values. The proposed language defines justice like this: we work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregation, within our association, and society at large. Our acts of mercy and kindness, our desire to ensure that each and every person and being on our earth is known as whole and holy and beautiful, this essential drive in us is one that reaches up and out from our personal spiritual lives. Our actions on behalf of this world and on behalf of others that arises out of our hearts and spirits, it is the soil that we live on that's intimately connected with our souls. Justice can be an element of self-care in our lives. Self-care, as we talked about it last week, self-care as a practice and not a purchase. Justice and self-care don't often end up in the same sentence together. Dismantling racism, countering all forms of systemic oppression, giving voice to rather than staying silent about things that actually matter. Actually doing those things requires a lot of personal time and energy. It means talking to people and building relationships. It means attending endless meetings and often feeling scared or vulnerable or angry or inept or frustrated. It means sometimes you're not heard. It means sometimes you're completely ignored, or sometimes you're left wondering, are you the only person in the room who really gets it? It means that at some point you're going to hear things you don't like, and you may be referred to in a way that doesn't honor all of who you are. It means moving humbly and remembering to say, I'm sorry, and being willing to start the conversation all over again. And it means you're making space in your own heart for all of you to flourish. So cultivate a life in which the soil that supports you and the soul that carries you are integrated and whole. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, poet and lifelong activist, writes about the self-care aspect of justice work. She wrote, "Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that's within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this poor, suffering world, one of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul." The racist attack against Chinese Americans in 1885, that wasn't led by a group of outliers. That attack was led by public officials and at least one clergy person. When our Throop community was gathered the following year, I wonder how or if our religious ancestors responded to the hate that was still happening in Pasadena against Asian Americans. A couple of decades before, Amos Throop, one of our founders, spoke out decisively against slavery at the Universalist General Convention. But I wonder, did that belief extend to the rights and humanity of the Chinese population in Pasadena? Just a few years after that fire, there's a note in a newspaper that a local pastor broke the existing law and performed a marriage between a white person and a Chinese American person. And I wonder how that clergy person's congregation responded to that. And I wonder, was Throop vocal back then in our support of the worth and dignity of all people? Or did we stay silent, a part of our collective spirit dying as we turn the other way? And I wonder, what are we silent about today? What are we not noticing? What are we not reading? What are we turning away from? And what part of ourselves is slowly dying because of that silence? What needs to be uncovered and spoken about and tended to so we can strengthen the connection between the soil on which we move and our souls, which so desperately long to shine and to be seen? Let's give of ourselves, humming through every pore, our breath a prayer, a song that brings change and helps us make peace. We sing now about the change we all can be in the world. The songs in the insert in your order of worship, and I invite you all to rise. And as we sing together, to try to think about what you might be silent about today and what we need to join our voices in together to help be the change in the world.
When we are singing, we are bound together. When we are sharing, we are free to be. Both in our singing and in our sharing, we are making change. We are making peace through times of trouble, through times of pain. We offer healing like a gentle rain. Both in our healing and in our caring, we are bringing change. We are making peace when we are helping. We can be our best when we are loving. That is put to rest. Both in our helping and in our loving, we are bringing change. We are making peace when we are singing. When we are singing, we are bound together. When we are sharing, we are free to be. Both in our singing and in our sharing, we are bringing change. We are making peace.
And place a hand on your heart and reach a hand out to someone in the room or on our live stream. We carry the light of our chalice and the light of each other's spirit with us in all that we do. If you want to continue your connection after worship, we invite you to stay for coffee and conversation And we have a group going up to the Pacific Asia Museum just a few blocks north of here after worship. It's a free day, and Winnie will be leading our group up to the Asia Pacific Museum. I love you all. Go out and love the world. Amen, and blessed be.